At tough points in your life where you feel like you're lacking love, remind yourself that nobody can love you the way that you can love yourself. The potential of unconditional self-love that you have for yourself and the entire world is not something that you feel you should be rushed to create and exist in. Unconditional love is a process of learning the conditions that you put onto yourself and others to require and be deserving and worthy of love. When you label others as undeserving or needing to reach a certain expectation to be worthy or deserving of love is when you're putting those limits and expectations and standards on yourself. Now, of course, it is amazing to have goals and standards for yourself and to not completely slack off and throw away your life into shambles and say, frick everything, I'm going off the map and letting everything go and just gonna make the world a worse place. What will make your life and your world a better place is to learn more about these restraints, triggers, emotions, blocks that keep you from understanding your unconditional self-love. At what moments in time do you say you aren't worthy of love, and do you tell yourself that you aren't worthy of the self-love that you know you are capable of creating and living in for yourself? Even if you don't think or know that you may be capable of creating this, know that it is so true. Personally, I was at a point in my life where I hated life so much, and it felt like I felt 0% of love for just about anything, but mainly myself. And this led me to not want to live for a long time. And I now live unconditionally loving towards not only myself, but the entire world. And it is such an amazing way to live, which has taught me how powerful self-love is and how no one can love you the way you can love yourself. When we go out into the world and we are looking for others to love us is when we are looking for validation and acceptance from other people, when the only true source of validation and worth that matters in your lifetime is what you think about yourself. Now, of course, there are exceptions, and times in life there can be times where you need approval from others to get a certain job or a certain whatever it is for you. But other people's opinions and judgments in those matters and in those arenas are not the same arena as you when you are by yourself and when you are talking to yourself and creating your self-love. Your self-love is the most powerful because it will trickle into all of these other arenas and it will affect your game. Your self-love is a firm foundation of your game because the love that you walk with and lead with into the world is a defining factor of your life and the quality of it. Life can start to look a little different when you start to look back more. I'm not trying to imply that you should live in your past because that won't be super beneficial for you, but what will be beneficial for you is to look back at your past with a lens coming from where you are now in the present. You have grown so much as a human being, and that is what we are here to do, to grow, to experience, to learn, and evolve. When you are in your present moment and ready to unleash your potential and see your potential, you will be able to look back in your past and see the points in time where you may have not been acting through this highest potential. When you are able to look back on the past and reflect on this is when you can change your present and your future moving forward. Reflecting as the person you are today and the person you want to be, see, and create in the future will help you to decide how you want to change and alter the person you are inside. Look at your past and who you used to be from the lens and perspective of the person that you want to be so you can see who you have been, how you have acted, and why you were acting in those ways. Probably because you were so fearful deep down inside is the core, what I have learned. Our fears make us act in certain ways that we wouldn't act if we were truly centered in our heart and love. Now, you don't have to be someone who wants to always act from their heart and their love, but if you are someone who wants to evolve and grow as a person, looking from your past is a great way to do so because you can see who you have been, so you can change who you are and who you want to be. When you look back, sometimes it can be a shock and sometimes it can hurt to see how much of a horrible person you have been. But if you are someone who wants to become a better person, this is a great starting point for you to reflect on yourself and to see how you can change moving forward. The person you were in your past is still the person you are today, and that hurt person is still somewhere inside your heart, which is why it's so beneficial to acknowledge the person that you were in your past and to take responsibility and acceptance of this person. Because the longer you push away this person and the more you try to run away from the person you have been, the more this will only hurt your own self-love. You will see and be able to reach so much more growth and potential when you acknowledge and take responsibility for the person you have been in your past and the ways you have acted and things you have said and done and believed. Part of the beauty of life is that you can change at any moment, you can evolve at any moment, and you can learn at any moment. Your past experiences do not define you, but they can be a catalyst for your greatest potential. Let all of the hard, horrible things that you have experienced and created in your life be your stepping stone to your success, because that is what it is here for. It is here to teach you how to be great. There may be some things that come to a shock for you because you were not fully aware of the ways you were acting and where the internal spaces you were coming from. But this is all for your benefit, and you are going to become a stronger person this way. By breaking through your weaknesses, you are making yourself stronger, mentally tougher, overall a loving human being. Hey, I hope everyone out there is doing great, and I just wanted to come along with the message that the little glimpses of happiness that you may find in your life, you should hold on to, and they are super important and beneficial, even if they're just small moments that last for a fragment of a second. These are super important and beneficial, and even the people in life who you may think are super happy and have created all this happiness for themselves do face lower moments, and it's important to remind yourself, if you do not categorize yourself as a super happy person in a happy high homeostasis, that doesn't mean that you can't become that person and that person isn't accessible to you and already inside of you. And in these little moments and glimpses of happiness, it is actually you guiding yourself and leading yourself to live in that higher dimension of happiness for you and yourself. And it is your own mind and intuition showing you what you are capable of and what you can lead yourself to and what you can be creating. Remind yourself that even super happy people have hard days, and even people who have horrible so-called lives have better days too. Always know that these little glimpses of happiness are super meaningful if you want to give them that meaning, or if you want to push them away and give lower, more negative things more meaning. It really comes down to if you give these moments and glimpses of happiness meaning, and if you act on them, and if you feel inspired by them, and if you remember the feeling so that you can try to hold on to it longer and create it in more moments of your life. If you're someone who isn't really doing too well in your life, but you do find yourself having these moments, that is a wonderful sign that you are doing much better than you think you are, because even if you don't have these little glimpses and moments of happiness in your life, I promise that they're completely possible, and you can start having them whenever you want. And it is a great sign that you are so powerful and strong and influential in your own life, because you are having these thoughts arise and come into your own mind and consciousness that want to make you become more aware of the happiness and higher levels of vibration and being that you can access and are accessing when you have these moments and glimpses of happiness. Don't feel sad when these go away, or you may feel like you're a little disconnected from these moments and glimpses of happiness, because this is only strengthening your connection with yourself and with your own happiness in your heart and these glimpses of happiness. It's so important and beneficial if you want to be living a loving, happy, high vibrational, optimistic, positive life, to know the power of these moments, and that so much more can come from these little fragments of happiness if you want them to. They can lead you to your ultimate success. You guys got this. Have a good day.
Everything got shit on me. Everything got shit on me. 'Cause I'm on top of the world. I'm on top of the world. Yeah.
Something I've learned and found out is that the same isn't what I always want to be. Being the same means that you aren't growing. A seed is much different from a full-grown, beautiful apple tree. This tree knows that it must change to see its full potential and grow into its highest good. The same limits you and keeps you where you're at. If someone tells you that you aren't the same anymore and they try to make this and spin it into a bad thing, remind yourself how maybe you don't want to be the same anymore. The same will get you what you've always gotten. Now, if you want to see or be something different, be your change. Change is difference, and difference is growth and experience. And you will get farther in life when you venture outside of your comfort zones, or rather your same old, same old. And don't get me wrong, this change doesn't even have to be dramatic or extreme at first or at all. Dip your toes into the water and start to trust yourself a little more instead of these people who want the same for you and to not see you change when that's what you want. And remind yourself, anyone who tries to make you feel bad for changing is only stuck in their own comfort zones and wants to try to suck you back into it because they can see that you're trying to grow and expand and evolve outside of their limits. No one stays the exact same forever, and if they did, that would be a really boring, disadventurous, and predictable life. Life is all about creating more and exploring the space of life that we all have access to. There is so much for each and every single one of us to experience and feel, especially on the other side of these social norms and expectations. We as humans are meant to explore our minds and wherever that may take us. The same mindset tricks you and fears you into remaining the same because it tells you that what you may be doing stepping outside of these boxes and comfort zones could endanger you or make you feel embarrassed or ashamed or whatever it is, but these are only feelings, and you do not need to fear your feelings because then you're only fearing yourself and your own potential and your own enlightenment. The same is tricking you that it's unsafe to step into the unknown when that is completely false. What's true is that anything is possible and it's all up to you. And don't let that get you down either, because remember that it is up to you to change from the same to your new. And eventually, your new will be your regular. You get to choose if you want to be controlled by these people who want to see you in your lower potentials, or if you want to stand up for yourself in your own heart and your own life and do the things that may be outside of the box a little. Take back your personal power by making independent choices for yourself. Take back your personal power by not accepting what other people may want for you and want to put onto you, and instead doing what you want for yourself. Do what you want to be and see for yourself. This is your life, and do you really want to live it in the same way anymore? And let these same people live under the conditions, beliefs, and limits that they want to, that could be subconscious. Keep doing you, especially when it's deemed as something different. Different is unique. Unique is beautiful. I was just journaling about weakness and came up with some useful breakthroughs that I would love to share with anyone out there who is thinking about their own personal weaknesses or want to become more aware of what these weaknesses really are and if they are really even weak. Now, weaknesses get pretty personal, so if that's not your cup of tea or what you really want right now, keep scrolling and find your cup. I started journaling by asking myself what I believe about my weaknesses. I figured out that weaknesses are really only self-sabotage, which are your limiting beliefs, self-doubt, negativity, whatever it is, you name it. I can recognize how I have created strength through my weaknesses and how this strength wouldn't be possible if my weaknesses weren't there to lead me and guide me to my strength and to teach me my strength. I can give strength to my weaknesses. And in fact, that brings these weaknesses more to light and elevates them and doesn't make them such a negative playing field. I can recognize that my weakness is what makes me stronger and what enables me to have this strength that already exists and more to create. I can push through my weaknesses to embody my strength that already exists. Also, a way I can better get to know my weaknesses is to ask them questions, because a lot of the time these weaknesses are just misunderstood strengths. Now, this does require putting my effort, energy, and love towards my weaknesses that may seem or be programmed to be harder to accept, but that is what pushing through these are, because pushing through this and loving through this is what will make me and anyone else out there stronger. Remember that your imperfections are worthy and your weakness is also worthy. Remind yourself how sometimes your weaknesses can help protect you from what is not meant for you. You can perceive your weaknesses and any of them as a positive thing that makes you more aware and stronger. Remind yourself how others' weaknesses and points in their journey are not yours to be had or to take on and take care of. Personally, a weakness I'm working on is taking on other people's energies. And in moments in time where I feel like I may be feeling something that I know is not my energy and my feelings to be had, I remind myself of the love and growth that is my meaning of life. And that even through these weaker points, I am learning so much more about myself and the world and others. This patience and even hardship allows me to have more compassion for myself and the world. Through your weaknesses, decide what you want to remain focused on, and if you want to remain focused on feeling down and going downward, or if you want to look up and feel inspired by your own weaknesses. And if other people try to tell you your weaknesses, that you're weak or you're this or you're that, that is never the case. Whatever anyone tries to tell you that you are, you don't have to always take to consideration. Remind yourself that. But I do like to listen with open ears, because you never know what criticism or critique will help you out and make you become more aware of how you can embody your fullest, most loving, highest potential if that's what you want. Remind yourself that others may not always acknowledge your strengths or even weaknesses clearly, and that that's okay because it was never theirs to begin with. Through any weakness, finding your love, peace, and happiness will keep you grounded and secure in your firm foundation of love and worthiness. Hey guys, quick thought. In the world, there are so many rules that people try to put onto one another to try and limit them and keep them inside of conformity and boxes and safe spaces that truly only limit you and keep you from going out there and accomplishing the most daring, bold, big things that you think you may not be able to. This is what these rules are keeping you from doing. And of course, there are some rules from the law that we should follow to keep the world and society safe, but there are some societal constructs that the world and your friends and your family and even strangers may be telling you do not break because they want to see you be comfortable and they want to see you stay inside of their own limits. I am a rule breaker because when you break the rules, you start to make the rules. And when you start to make the rules, you start to live for yourself and not for these other people who want to see their outcomes, their desired outcomes for you happen and play out in your life instead of your own desired individual independent outcomes that you deserve. Start making and breaking your... It's pretty easy to tell someone to just be themselves. I mean, isn't feeling and acting like ourselves something that we all want to do? There can be so many different things thrown at us in life, and even that can arise from internally that affect our self-expression. There are so many different stages and phases and degrees to self-expression, and you are not required to tell anyone anything about yourself in your life if you don't want to. What you express out into the world is you and your independent right and choice. You shouldn't have to feel like other people have control over you and the sort of person you are and what you express into your world and life. If you're ever someone who feels like you have a difficult time expressing who you are to certain people or anyone for that matter, remind yourself what's most important is for you to know who you are, yourself. I know that you probably know yourself pretty well, but if you're working on self-expression, getting to know yourself even more will help you benefit if you're looking to be more expressive and open in the world. It's pretty easy to tell someone to just be themselves, but what if this person doesn't even really know who they are or want to be yet? Give yourself patience, gratitude, and nurture when you are cultivating the human being that you want to see and be in your world and life. Other people's self-expression will not and should not look like yours because you are unique, and that is part of your specialness and your beauty in this world because no one can replicate exactly who you and what you are. Your uniqueness and individuality is so much a part of your beauty. What will kill this feeling of your uniqueness and specialness, of being beautiful and special and worthy of love, is you comparing yourself to other people and other people's self-expressions. Remember how no one can be identical to one another's self-expression or self. So remind yourself that comparing yourself to other people is really only a loop that you're running in and wasting your own time, when really you could be focusing on your own heart, your own love, and your own self-expression, which will get you to way farther heights and distances and greatnesses than if you were to be sheltering yourself inside of the bubble and cocoon of comparing yourself to other human beings. Of course, there are healthy ways to compare, and this is part of life, but I do not think that it is healthy to compare your internal or external state to other people in a negative way that is meaning to drag you down, when really your self-expression is worthy and deserving of being pulled out and expressed into the world so fully and openly. Also, remember that your self-expression may not be the exact same around every single person. So if you do feel like you're being a little more inward or a little more introverted or shy or whatever it is, or extroverted and big and broad and bold in front of certain people and groups, remind yourself that this is part of human nature and that your self-expression is truly something that you do have control over. And if you gain more awareness over your self-expression, you will see how you can use this in different situations and how you do use it and how you can create your loving self that you want to be. I don't know too many people that practice or even really care for unconditional love. If you're someone who practices and works towards unconditional self-love and giving out unconditional love to the world, you may feel like your love is misunderstood a lot of the time because people who do love with conditions simply do not understand the place that you are coming from because they have the conditions built inside of their mind that hold up limits and lines and structures to love, when truly love isn't really a structure and love is truly everything if that's what you choose to see. And when you can accept and are working to accept unconditional love and to act through a more unconditionally loving place from your heart space, you will be able to tear down and recognize the conditions that you have been putting up and see how those do create fake walls and facades of love and conditional love, and how this truly entraps you in your mind and gets you to run in loops and cycles and karmic lessons that you keep on running yourself into because you simply do not see or recognize the conditions that you have been putting on yourself in your life. When you conditionally love the world and others, you limit yourself and you limit the sort of possibilities and opportunities that you have in your life. If you were to love unconditionally, you would be opening yourself to unconditional possibilities and potentials and unlimited possibilities and potentials, because you aren't conditioning yourself to only be worthy of love if you meet this standard, if you meet that standard, or if someone does this for you and if someone does that for you, then it's acceptable for love and then it's worthy of love. What is truly super beneficial when learning, practicing, and caring for unconditional love is that you can know that your life will be leading with such a lighter and more positive, loving attitude with so much more harmony, because when you can unconditionally love, you won't be finding yourself hitting so many roadblocks all the time, feeling so negative about this or that because you can't love this and you can't love that, and this isn't love and this isn't love and that isn't love. None of that will even exist anymore, because you will be living from such a more positive, high vibrational, unconditionally loving head and heart space, and it will honestly truly align you so much more with a higher purpose and higher love and light that you could be walking and living with in your life if you wanted to learn more about your own unconditional love and how you can start feeling those ways and what sort of conditions you have been taught and put on and picked up and learned and repeated over and over again inside your life to input and imprint these conditions even further and even more dense inside your brain and mind. Unconditional love may seem like a scary or even obscure topic, because who would want to love everything? But I want to love everything, and this is my journey of unconditional love, and I hope anyone out there can feel inspired to love something a little more unconditionally today, including yourself, especially yourself. Love yourself so unconditionally. I used to be so insecure that I wore hoodies and even hid myself in them for about 4 years. This was all self-consciousness, and this got me thinking about what self-consciousness even is. When we're feeling self-conscious, it's like we're underappreciating ourselves. Self-consciousness is a limit to your awareness and consciousness. When you're being and feeling self-conscious, you are not acting through a loving awareness. And beating yourself up won't make you feel any more confident, loving, loved, or worthy. When we're feeling and acting through self-conscious, we're actually lacking self-respect. Self-consciousness is any doubt, worry, hate, or fear, even if you will. You might find yourself feeling self-conscious in moments because of your fear of rejection, approval, acceptance, failure, you name it. If you want to stop feeling self-conscious, start trying to see something outside of this box of fear. And this is where you're going to have to use your imagination. Use your imagination to see how you want to feel and act towards yourself. What do you wish you loved? Who is telling you what your rules and guidelines are to be enough and to be worthy of unconditional love? Why do you blindly accept others' terms and conditions? The truth is that there is so much worth in your individuality and uniqueness. And another truth is that you don't need anyone to be worthy. You don't need to follow others' expectations and standards to be worthy. Ask yourself what sort of people, places, things, and circumstances inside your life are causing fear of you to be self-conscious. This may be a little hard for you because you may come to see how many things you are fearing letting go of because you have been attaching to them for so long. You may think or feel like they're all you have, when really that is so far from your truth. If you're surrounded by people, places, and things that make you think that that's all you have and the worth in your life, I advise that you take a step back for a second and realize how there are other things in your life that are super important, such as yourself and your self-consciousness, but your self-love. Your hunger for validation will always crave more when you're searching and finding it from other people. Becoming more conscious of who you as an individual really are creates and helps you and teaches you more love. Being self-conscious is like relying on external acceptance and validation. Ask yourself, what if you aren't externally accepted or validated? Are you going to decide to call everything quits? Are you going to remain in the consciousness that left you feeling insecure to begin with? Decide to break free and find your self-acceptance, self-love, self-validation in going against the grain. It will feel uncomfortable at first, but that's how you know it's working and you're learning something and becoming stronger. Appreciate yourself and your consciousness more. Be open to being wrong and even be open to being ridiculed. It's all strengthening your self-love, trust, acceptance, and validation. Trust in you. Your biggest blessing isn't what you have, it's who you are. If you think a blessing isn't what you are, it's time for you to create your most blessed self. Who you are is and turns into what you have. If you feel like a hopeless, undeserving, unworthy person inside of you, that is what you will feel like you have. If you choose to feel like and embody your most grateful and loving self, you will feel like a walking blessing. And you will feel so blessed because love and gratitude is a blessing. Your power in deciding who you are is a blessing. You have the power to either create this blessing or to create some sort of illusionary curse. You are blessed right now as we speak, no matter what's happening in you, in your life, and even in your internal state. You get to decide how you show up in the world and if you see yourself and the world as a blessed place. Make yourself and your body a place that you feel blessed to wake up and live in every single day. If you're someone who's healing but are feeling a little stuck or don't really know where to go, a great place to become more aware of your truths and to start shedding more layers of your skin and becoming more aligned to your heart-centered truth of love is to ask yourself where you may be fully accepting the 3D as truth. What you see and what you get in the 3D isn't complete truth because the 3D is based off of our physical senses. And our 5 physical senses only begin to scratch the surface of our truth. There is so much more beyond these physical senses as evidence for truth and fact. Your thoughts are not a physical sense. And your thoughts are what are creating you and your reality. Your thoughts are like a conversation that you're having with yourself. Do you base satisfaction, feelings, and fulfillment off of what you see in the 3D and what you receive and get in the 3D? You sure can base your feelings off of what you see in the 3D, but all of this has to do with external life instead of filling your internal life and void with love, light, and satisfaction and wholeness. The 3D isn't always true and feeds us lies because it can tell us and make us feel ways like we aren't enough, we aren't loved, we aren't loving, we aren't worthy, we aren't capable, we're dumb, we're stupid, etc. I'm sure you can go on. These ways that the 3D and external reality makes you feel is not your truth, which should make you feel uplifted and motivated and inspired to find out more of what your truth truly is inside of you instead of looking for happiness outside of you. Being able to find it inside of you is where it's at. The 3D lies to us because it doesn't have to be our truth or life or reality. Sometimes the 3D can make us feel like it's all that there is when that is far from the truth. Use your mind, imagination, and possibilities to see anything else than your standing 3D reality. When you imagine things, this is our mind showing us the possibilities that we are capable of creating. And our minds even know the path to get us there too. Your mind isn't going to show you the entire journey on the way to these places, but it is going to show you what is possible if you trust in something beyond what you see in the 3D. And the only thing that can keep you from attaining and reaching these visions is yourself and your own limitations and blockages that you put on yourself, and completely trusting and believing that the 3D is the only truth there is. It's so important for you to hold on to beliefs somewhere else besides in the 3D if you want to be creating happier, whatever more versions of yourself that you want. To change your life and to get to another place, you're going to have to detach from the life stories, feelings, whatever it is, even characters, ways that you conversate with yourself in your head and tell your own story and narrate your own story. You're going to have to detach from those old 3D ways and see something beyond this if you want to move past these truly for yourself. The 3D can tell us lies like we're slaves to our own mind. The truth is that you are positive power. It's safe and okay for you to break free from the low vibrational life you may be living. Release and let go from the attachment and validations of this 3D reality to expand and explore your possibilities.
Being penetrated in the buttocks, what does it feel like? This question is faced by sea cucumbers almost every day. Hello everyone, I am the sea cucumber that is relentlessly invaded by pearlfish. When you see the skillful movements of the pearlfish, do you also feel a tightness in your buttocks? But this is the bullying I have to face every day. Every time I excrete, my flexible and protruding buttocks are suddenly occupied by a timid pearlfish. The feeling is truly unbearable. pearlfish always resort to any means to escape their disadvantaged status, and whenever they find a place to hide, they will unhesitatingly burrow in. They turn my buttocks into a comfortable and warm home for themselves. Since then, I have to be extremely cautious every time I excrete, otherwise the detestable pearlfish will invade my buttocks, treating them as their refuge without any regard for my feelings, and devouring my internal organs. Although I possess a powerful regenerative system, with my internal organs able to regrow in just 10 days, the fear of having parts of my internal organs eaten by pearlfish still deeply unsettles me. To make matters worse, some pearlfish even invite their relatives and friends to cohabitate, adding more pressure and suffering for me. In order to protect myself, I have been forced to evolve tough buttocks with iron teeth and copper jaws, but it is only a makeshift defense against pearlfish invasion and cannot fully prevent them. Now, I am desperately longing for someone to help us escape the torment caused by these pearlfish. So, do you have any ideas to assist me?
I came to a realization last night that perfectionism and perfection is fear-based, and authenticity is true freedom. Perfection is fear-based because we feel like if we slip up or do not fit a certain mold, then we aren't enough, or we aren't worthy, or something bad could happen to us, and we could be perceived by others or not accepted by others in ways that we want for ourselves. But authenticity is true freedom, because in your authenticity, you are accepting yourself unconditionally, and you are being yourself out in the world authentically at who you are in your true core, instead of trying to make yourself be someone who will be accepted and acceptable by others in society and societal norms. It can feel super hard to let go of perfectionism, but it truly is only enslaving you, because authenticity will open so many more doors and pathways instead of you looking through the mindset of perfection and perfectionism. Authenticity opens unlimited amount of doors, and perfectionism keeps you constrained and enslaved in your own fear. When people try to be perfect, they try to conform to what is comfortable. Authenticity may be a little uncomfortable at first because you're stepping outside of the box and doing things that you may not have felt comfortable doing or expressing or being in the world before, but your authenticity is your freedom. Pardon the camera and if there's any weird angles because I'm walking, but I used to have friends, guys, okay? And I had the majority of these friends for a long time in my life. I distanced myself from these friends when I got into a toxic relationship. I put all my energy, attention, and focus and love into this boy. That didn't end up working out, so I was left with seemingly no friends and no boy by my side. Now, this could leave you pretty lonely, and honestly, it did leave me pretty lonely for a lot of time. But what I've realized is that not having friends, I am way less lonely than I was when I ever had these friends. And I think that this is because when we have friends, or at least when I did, I would go hang out with them, and it would kind of be to try and put a band-aid over a bullet hole and fill some sort of void. And of course, I had amazing times with these friends, you know, but there was also hard times, but that comes with friendship. And when I would go home after hanging out with these friends is when I had to face myself and everything that I was trying to cover up. Mental illness, depression, you name it, it was there, yada, yada, yada. So, whoa, oh God, I'm almost strapped, you guys. Now that I have been pretty friendless or friend groupless for about 4 years, maybe longer, I don't know, who's counting. I've been able to spend so much time being alone and seeing what's inside this space that I wanted to avoid so badly and that I hated so badly, and that made me feel uncomfortable overall. So I've come to realize that you don't need friends to not be lonely. When I would go hang out with these friends, I was trying to cover up all these things and make them less hurtful, but other people can't fix your problems for you. You are the only one who can get up or sit down and fix or try and learn more about yourself and what makes you feel the ways you do and think the ways you do and act the ways you do. So that is exactly what I was forced to do for years, and I'm still doing it now today, but it's helped me so much because I know exactly what I look for in friends and in my life. And now if I do go hang out with people and I go home or go alone, spend time alone after, it's not like, oh no, frick, I'm going to spend time alone. Now I actually feel really in my element when I'm alone, and now it's like a little safe haven. It's my own space, and I love being alone because I've learned how to be alone. And anyone out there can do it too. Being alone is not something that you should fear. And if you feel uncomfortable being alone, I recommend spending more time alone, because that is how you will work through this and learn how to become more of your own best friend. You all deserve it. And yeah, that's the story. Bye, guys. It's okay and even normal to sometimes look at the situation in front of us and not like what we see and feel like we're in a completely wrong space. What I have reminded myself is that it will make more sense later. I have transformed my life so much, and back then, in the moments where I felt like my life would never get better and I wasn't going anywhere, and a matter of fact, I thought it was better to just give up and not try for anything at all. It has all made so much more sense later, because I wouldn't be where I am, in the place I am, and the person I am today, if I hadn't made those huge mistakes and learned all those lessons and been in that really difficult space. And matter of fact, the places that we have been in are here for us to be more grateful for where we're going. And it's so important to remember that we will see the puzzle pieces fitting together more as the puzzle continues more. And no matter where you are right now, it is not your end all be all, and you have the power and choice to stand up, to take your power and to make your choice and to be who you want to be, and to look at what's in front of you. And even if you don't like exactly where you are, tell yourself that it will all make more sense later. Every single time in my past where I have been somewhere I didn't want to be, now looking at it from where I am now, I'm so grateful for those times, because it has made me the person I am today. People may not see wearing a shirt to be a rational fear. Since I've lived with body dysmorphia since I was in elementary school, putting on shirts and allowing myself and the world to see who I am has been a struggle. I realized it's not really the shirt that I'm afraid of, but it's what's underneath and what's inside of me. Whether it's fearing if people will accept what's inside and underneath, or if they'll decide to shame me. But most importantly, if I will shame myself or if I will accept myself. A shirt may not seem like a big fear, but it really wasn't the shirt that I was afraid of. The real problem was my lack of self-love and self-acceptance, which led my brain to go in extreme ways that wanted me to end my life, because of the fear of thinking that people would see what's inside of me and shame me for it. I wasn't accepting myself, and I wasn't ready for other people to potentially not accept me. This whole fear of myself held me back in so many ways. My mind was full of miserable, hysteric self-hatred thoughts. I remember when I was in 8th grade and I was on vacation with one of my friends, and we went to Las Vegas. It was pretty hot because it was in the summer, and I remember being on the strip with her and walking down with some friends and being in a hoodie because I felt like I couldn't wear anything else, and it was 104 degrees. I remember how normal it was to be in hoodies in this type of weather, because there was no exception when wearing hoodies and not showing myself to the world, because I would have rather died than showed myself to the world. Hoodies were something that helped me control this aspect and helped me accept myself more, but I was accepting myself conditionally. After I had been working on my self-confidence, esteem, love, and acceptance for a while, I remember walking into school for the first time wearing a tank top and being terrified. All of this self-hatred was me punishing myself for trying to be myself. I put so much shame towards the person I am and what my body looks like. We truly aren't meant to feel any shame for the beautiful bodies we've been given at birth. I've learned how there are things you can do to help yourself feel better and more confident, loving, and accepting towards yourself and your own body. I've learned how to be helpful and healthy towards my body instead of feeling like I have to punish it for what it is. I haven't come so far overnight, but each night has gotten me so far. If you're someone going through anything similar or have ever experienced anything similar, I want you to know and see that there is so much hope for you, and that it does not all have to click into place exactly in the snap of a finger, that you have time to love yourself. Also, to not let anyone tell you to get bigger problems or that your problems aren't big enough, because loving yourself is something we are all so worthy of. You deserve to unconditionally love yourself and to love yourself in any outfit that you feel amazing in. I came up with this theory as of how we receive information and the sort of ideas we get that lead to our speech. This comes from robots, and I was thinking that the sort of information we get, wherever we get it from and however it gets into our mind and heads, and however we decide to transmute it into actual speech for people to understand and communicate with, I think that we get these sort of informational downloads in a forming sense like robots. Now, you know the noises robots make when they're all like, I think that we are receiving this type of communication and it's going inside of our brains, and then we're somehow making it digestible and something you can hold in your hand, something you can understand in human form. We're slowing it down a little bit in our minds to become the sort of sentences that we speak. I think that the sentences we speak are truly sped up and in these super fast robot forms, but if you slow down these people, then you get these sentences that humans speak. That is my theory.
If you run out on me, then I'm gonna hit you in your stomach. We told them in public. I said we told in public. We told them bitches in public. Run out on me, then bitch, I'm gunning. Drop down on the fuck, yeah, nigga, yeah. We don't click with your bitch, nigga, yeah. Pull up with the chop, you get hit.
Wanting to create your best life and self doesn't mean that you have to disempower others. Your best self is only competing with yourself and doesn't use other people as an aspect of jealousy. They see them as a source of inspiration. Your best self knows that there is enough room and space for everyone to be their best selves. And in fact, your best self wants to become your best self so that you can inspire and empower others to do the same in their own lives. Your best self knows that you will feel better when you want the world around you to feel better. You becoming your best self has nothing to do with anyone around you trying to become their version of their best selves. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone because your best self does not compare yourself to others. Only hold yourself up to the person who you were yesterday. If you feel like your best self needs to tear others down to feel some sort of hierarchy, this is not your best self and this is flat out your ego. Remember how not everyone wants to see and embody their best selves in their world and in this life. That does not take away from you and your positive. You really don't have to be any certain specific image or ideal to be enough. In fact, you don't have to be anything to be enough. You decide what enough is. You simply existing is enough in my opinion, and you don't need to look or search for anything else outside of yourself to be enough. You are exactly enough, and as long as you feel like you're enough for yourself, you won't feel like you need to obtain something outside of yourself to be enough. You having yourself is enough. What's ideal to you may not be what someone else wants to be. And that's truly part of the beauty in the world because we are all meant to express differently while being created equally. Our ideas of what enough is and what we want to be in the world is what makes the world diverse. And the world needs diversity for us to collaborate and learn from each other. What may look or feel like enough to you may not be what the person next to you looks and feels like enough is, which is part of the beauty in life because we are all different but all equal. Guys, please remember how it's okay to be misunderstood, and it's okay for people to not always interpret what you say for what you mean, and to not take it for what you're giving it as. When you are someone who is a deep introspector, a deep thinker, and kind of honestly bending the rules of the universe, and wondering what those sort of rules, how they can be bent, how you can play with them, and how you can make sort of different results with them. People will not understand what you mean and where you are coming from because they do not see or feel themselves or live in a reality themselves where the things you are saying and feeling and doing inside of your own intuition, they won't understand what these mean, but that's okay because always remember that the right people will understand you. This is an evolution and this is meant for change. Okay guys, I thought of this diagram earlier today about how you can get around your stubborn thoughts and see the positive change that you truly want inside of your life. Let the stick represent the negative thought that you find yourself running into and not being able to find a way around or feeling like you can. So, you see it from this dimension, and this is the negative thought, and this is you approaching the situation and you wanting to get to the other side, but you seem like you're just running into it and you feel like there's no way around it because this is all you've been telling yourself and you feel like it's blocking you completely. I ask for you to see this from a new dimension and to flip this thought and to not accept this thought as your only path and roadblock, and see how if you flip the thought and you decide to approach and you choose to go a different way, you choose to see some more positivity in the situation, you decide to tell yourself you can, you decide to give yourself more reason to move forward instead of telling yourself all these negative reasons why you can't and why you shouldn't, this and that, whatever it may be for you. This is an illusion, and this is your freedom. I'm someone who loves to challenge myself and test my limits. I used to test my limits in areas of my life that were harming me more than helping me, such as how much I could drink. I would drink about a fifth every time I would drink. I have learned how to push my limits in healthier ways that help me. I've seen and experienced and felt how beneficial it can be inside of your own life to take your attention, focus, and energy off of the things that may be harming you and to put this energy, attention, and focus towards things that can and will be helping you. Pushing your limits means that you have to use your mind over your body. If you want to see and live a different life for yourself outside of the limits that you may be thinking are in your mind right now, ask yourself how you may be letting your body control your mind. See and become more aware you may be making excuses for yourself to not complete your fullest potential that you want for yourself. Your potential and the possibilities start up here in your mind, and your body is what makes it capable for you to complete them. Even if it feels like you're going completely against your body because you don't want to do this and you don't want to do that, you're too tired, that is an excuse. And although it is good to listen to yourself and what you truly want and need to feel your best, if you are someone who wants to break your limits and push through your boundaries, you aren't going to take being tired, being sore, getting a cramp for an answer for you to stop. To challenge yourself and to break your limits, you acquire the gift of endurance. This burning fire and desire inside of our hearts are in each and every single one of us. What you see someone doing with their life is something you can do with your life. You won't get there by running in circles in your head time after time again. You will get there by running outside of these circles and breaking these circles and creating a new path for yourself. Looking in the mirror and thinking about your life right now isn't the life that you have to always live, be, and express. You have the opportunity to create as much strength, love, determination, passion, joy, gratitude, you name it. So that's all you need to know that you hold inside yourself if you feel like you need to give up and you aren't enough. You are positivity, and everywhere you go can be something positive if that's exactly what you want to see, be, and feel and experience in your own life. Break the limits inside your mind and body that are telling you to be negative, to cut corners, and to not live up to who you truly want to be inside of yourself for your own evolution. And people who evolve and push their limits don't look down upon people who don't want to do this for themselves and don't mind it being their own path, because we understand how everyone has their own path, and it is so important to love people no matter what path they are on, because everyone deserves the love and everyone is going through something. And sometimes people don't want to be pushing their limits because people feel like they have different amounts of limits, and some people feel like waking up is a limit that is being pushed, and that is hard. And we all go through different points in our life. And me personally, I have been at a point in my life where waking up was my limit. I couldn't go any further. That was about the maximum potential I felt that I had in the world. I've completely flipped my life around, and now I see everything as an opportunity for growth and to break my records and to set my own records and compete with myself, break my own boundaries, challenge myself, and recreate the new boundaries that I would like with stronger foundations. I am beyond grateful for the ways that I have been able to transform my life and the outlets that I have found myself in expressing myself and feeling some sort of worthiness in the world. My worthiness comes from me improving myself and not looking to find validation from anyone else around me. That might be a limit for some people out there too, because they find themselves running into situations where they are looking for validation, acceptance, whatever it may be from other people. That is a limit and that is a boundary, because that does control your mind and body to a certain extent. No matter what limits you feel like pushing or challenging yourself to, or not even doing that, but I have a feeling if you're watching this video this far, you're someone who wants to challenge yourself and likes doing that kind of stuff. Whatever limits you are pushing at your stages in your life, be proud of yourself and give yourself a pat on the back for getting up and making change inside of your life. I've chosen to and gotten to walk away from a lot of things that do not serve me. The more that you try to stick around in situations or cling on to things and attach to things that you know do not serve you, the longer and harder it will be for you to feel your freedom. Freedom does not come from trying to control or cling on to things that you know are not for you or serving you. When walking away from things that you know do not serve you and moving forward into your future with more positive potential, it is so important to remind yourself that love is never lost. And what you think you may be walking away from and feeling like you can never get again in the same exact way, maybe you won't, but maybe because when you let go and move forward, you will find something that suits and fits you even better. Your love in your life and inside of yourself is never lost, and it's only found to new levels, degrees, and powerfulnesses. We are able to learn to walk away so that we can transform. We learn and walk away so that we grow. And although growing can hurt sometimes, it is so important to remind yourself that this hurt is not all that there is for you in this process of walking away. In fact, you feeling those feelings and understanding more how you feel inside and why you feel those ways will help you grow so much moving forward and attracting things that you know are truly meant for you. Clinging onto or depending on things that you know do not truly serve you and are meant for you and your highest good will only keep you in cycles, chapters, and loops of lives that you don't want to be living. If you find yourself in aspects of your life, or maybe even your entire life, that you don't want to live anymore and you want to create something new, your first step is to walk away from what your life is right now. To want something new is one thing, but to actually get something new is another thing. And if you don't walk away, you're going to be staying in this place of wanting. But once you decide to walk away, you will be taking action and you will be on the path to getting. God, the universe, or whatever higher power you believe in wants the best for you, and it wants to see you succeed. Remind yourself how to get one thing, you're going to have to walk away from something. And sometimes this higher power sees the things in your life that it knows are not serving you, and that this other version of you in life that you want to be living can't bring along if you want to make the journey to your highest self in life for yourself. When you're walking away, remember to be patient with your walk. Take your time in letting go and know that it's okay to release. You could be the youngest. You could be the dumbest. But you don't have to be what you look like on the outside. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? There's one person who will answer that question for you in your tongue, okay? But your own journey of licking the Tootsie Pop and getting to the center is for you, okay? You are the one sucking on. So it's left up to you, just like it has always been. Start licking. Oh, what the? Sorry guys, I just had a salad. Start licking and you decide if the journey sucks or if it's a sweet little treat. Lollipop, lollipop,